Hello, dear friends. A shaman was asked, "What is poison?" Answer: anything beyond what we need is poison. It can be power, laziness, ego, ambition, vanity, fear, anger, or whatever. Spend the day appreciating every little thing that comes your way, and you will end the day feeling deeply grateful for your life. Opinion piece. Opportunity. Something amazing is happening. People are waking up. Everything is about to change. Global chaos portends something big. We have a big week ahead of us. Convoy of trucks for freedom increases. Police confiscate fuel supply. Withholding of donations intended for truck drivers. Bitcoin breaks embargo on Canada's truckers. Cowboys join police standoff in Alberta. Let's start. Golden Age of Gaia by Steve Biko. What is happening on the planet right now? What is happening right now is not random, is not coincidental. The emerging energies are bringing to the surface people's buried desires to live freely. Opposition to control would have to break out somewhere. Someone would have to lead the opposition. Now is an opportune time or circumstance to awaken. Life chances is a social science theory of each individual's occasions that has helped improve their quality of life. Life chances comprise the individual's ability to acquire assets, have a career, and obtain inner satisfaction. In other words, the ability to satisfy one's needs, the first of which is freedom. The invisible part of the coalition is our star family, the visiting races that seeded humankind on Earth in the first place. Then there are the ascended masters on Earth, and the celestials behind all of whom is Source. Don't bother to ridicule me for talking about extraterrestrials and God. Having been ridiculed quite often for my beliefs, I have acquired the gift of immunity. There are two things we will have to confront from what I've just said. One is that the tag team has done such bad things that when we are informed of them, we will suffer. Our worldview may collapse. We may have to be tolerant of ourselves during the time of the coming revelations, and remain silent for a while after listening. The second is that our worldview has been imprisoned for millennia, and we are going to have to expand it. To control us, we were told that we were born in sin, and that only the Church of Rome held the keys to our salvation. None of that is true. I have experienced the being that we are in its nature is innocence and purity, and we do not need intermediaries between us and God. We are told that life has evolved by natural selection. That would be partially true. Natural selection is a process, but in fact it turns out that the human species was seeded here by other civilization from other planets. There is physical evolution, but to hold only that view leaves out spiritual evolution. The spiritual evolution is what our lives are all about. While we think we are just the body and that is all, I have experienced the soul within the body, that which survives bodily death, and I have seen its separation from the latter. Our empirical materialistic paradigms in science and religion are not serving us. However, they serve the new world order by keeping our eyes on the ground, when we could be reaching for the stars. While the city listened to beeps and clicks, other civilizations have been having conversations with us through channeled messages for centuries. The knowledge of all this has been suppressed. The increasing energies on the planet as a result of the closing of this chapter in Earth's history are forcing us to desire to put our global house in order. The energies hitting the planet as part of the awareness that is occurring would have made inaction unbearable for some sector of the population. As we move from the Kali Yuga or Dark Age to the Satya Yuga or Golden Age, we are ready for this. These are all freedom-loving people everywhere on planet Earth. We have the energies on our side. We have seen and unseen allies who are much stronger than those who oppose us. And we are serving the divine plan to raise Terra Gaia to a higher level of existence. All we are waiting for is for people to wake up to what is happening on Earth. However far-fetched it has seemed to them so far, so that they will accept the need to clean house rather than to fall into conflict. Global chaos. Puffness Weekly Report. The news this week is that there are many chaotic conditions around the world, especially in China, but police forces are struggling to stay the course of events in Southern Europe, within the multiple cities that are not acting in the interest of good. Look at affairs in Canada and watch the way government is dismantled or maximum power is obtained. What is happening there is critical to everyone in the Western world. The Freedom Convoy of 2022 is an active protest initiated by truckers in Canada against the health pass to enter the country imposed by the Canadian government on January 15, 2022. Through various routes crossing all provinces of Canada, a convoy of up to 50,000 trucks and 70 kilometers long traveled across the country until converging in Ottawa on January 29, 2022. There, a demonstration took place on Parliament Hill, with protests continuing in the days that followed. Bankers are worried about the strengthening of crypto language. Money has flowed out of banking institutions in droves, and they do not want to dislodge more funds than they owe. Not many legal systems are strong enough to deter or force those funds out of their hands. Each has a role to play. For those you can't reach, someone else can. We are literally on the front line. We see everything, we see the moves like you play chess. Do what you have to do to negotiate your way, pay your way, offer services, provide care, encourage and support those you now will follow your course of action. Freedom Actions. Freedom Actions by Rinus Berhagen. We are seeing how the old power structures are collapsing, and the globalists are in total panic and have no control over the current situation. We know that Gisara is being implemented gradually and stealthily, and now we see how the plan works. People must first be alert to see large-scale action to free the population from the dark powers. One of the reasons the current problem is occurring is because the dark side is stealing the pension funds of the population, and everything has been diverted to the rich. We are in the process of fulfilling the prediction of the Georgia Guidestones if we do not remedy it. However, now that the population is waking up more and more and starting to connect the dots, we have an idea of what happened. I hope things move forward quickly now, because we, as a population, now see what the banks, politics and the World Economic Forum have done. Something amazing. Something very amazing is happening right now by Charmaine. The family unit was continually fracturing and not realized by most of those involved. Neighbors used to come over to say hello and see how you are doing, or invite you to visit them. But now they also had their own problems and no time to be good neighbors. What happened to love thy neighbor as thyself? A large number of employees work from home, so they don't socialize with their co-workers, and sports have been curtailed so that children and adults no longer participate as much in team activities. Relationships in most places are not nurtured as they should be. Too often it seems that only self-service is paramount. Many had already isolated themselves from each other long before the restrictive mandates went into effect. So what has changed? Before the crisis we decided that we would do these things of our own free will, and that we could choose what we wanted. The last 2 years have taken away our free will and ordered us to do some of the things mentioned above and much more. When we had enough, this woke us up to realize that our free will was gone and what rigid situation we were in. Without realizing it, we made it easier for them to come into our lives. Here comes the amazing part. Because courage and rightness have chosen to stand up and help take back our God-given rights, we have begun to think about other people. We have come together to fight the forces of darkness and to care for and support each other and protect everyone's rights, not just our own. We are spending time with each other. Fortunately, we have decided to band together naturally, as we quickly realized that there is power in numbers, and at the same time our hearts are opening to those around us with unconditional love. We are building new communities. Something amazing is happening among us. It is the restructuring of society. What was meant for evil is now turning to good. News of the reset. First, a transformation is coming that will be peaceful if we are wise enough, compassionate if we care enough, successful if we are fortunate enough, but the transformation that is coming, whether we want it or not. We can affect its character, but we cannot alter its inevitability. Second, as of midnight Sunday, February 6th, Ottawa police cut off fuel supplies to supporters of the convoy. The police had already begun arresting the truckers. Third, Ottawa Police Chief Peter Sloly admitted on the City Hall live broadcast that the mayor and his staff were responsible for shutting down the GoFundMe program. They are now going after supplies and fuel that were coming into the area. Fourth, the Ottawa Police Services Board held an emergency meeting Saturday afternoon, but failed to devise a clear plan of action regarding the truckers and their supporters, who have been protesting the country's mandates for more than a week. 5. Ottawa police have a new secret weapon against the truckers. They are taking down all the stops and put an end to the protest. 6. Ottawa police confiscate fuel supply. Dramatic images unfold in Ottawa Park, Ontario, Canada, where dozens of riot police officers got the fuel and propane supply from the recently set up base camp for the Freedom Convoy. 7. Ready to crush the truckers. The convoy of Canadian drivers began as a protest. Now it has practically brought the Canadian government to its knees. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police sent a representative of the Crown to meet with them in a scene that looks like a war game. 8. The Canadian Army tells Ottawa to find someone else to evict the truckers. 9. In the wake of the recent convoy, Canadians have been filling Governor General Mary Simon's office with petitions to dissolve the federal government and impeach Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. 10. Cowboys join police standoff in Alberta, Canada. The blockade of the border crossing and the standoff generated an influx of new supporters, and many of them didn't even make it. And many of them didn't even arrive in trucks or on wheels of any kind. Cowboys and cowgirls have joined the party. 11. The elite gather their forces for a counterattack. There are reports that the Ottawa police are trying to stop food, water, and all material support from reaching the truckers. In other words, they are making an effort to starve the protesters. 12. Arrest of truckers. The feds are sending in hundreds of riot police to coordinate to go block by block, to break up this demonstration. It will probably happen late at night. I'm guessing today or Wednesday. The prisoners would be bused to the land's own area for processing. 13. Freedom Convoy spreads around the world. The Canadian-inspired Freedom Convoy movement is gaining momentum, with trucker demonstrations starting in several countries. Canada-style protest against restrictions spread to other countries over the weekend as the movement gained momentum worldwide. 14. In Europe, convoys of truckers from several European member states are expected to besiege Brussels. 15. On February 14, a large protest was held in Finland's capital, Helsinki. Dozens of trucks and other vehicles participating in Convoy Finland flooded the city on Saturday, with participants demanding an end to all restrictions and the resignation of the government, as well as a full price cuts. 16. Demonstrations in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Seoul, South Korea, Czech Republic, New Zealand, Rotterdam, Netherlands, Manchester, UK, all provinces of Canada, Canberra, Australia, Germany and Spain. 17. Withholding donations earmarked for truckers in Canada. The convoy has already been stripped of $8 million in donations from supporters after crowdfunding site GoFundMe suspended its account, prompting Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton to launch an investigation into the company. 18. Bitcoin breaks embargo on Canadian truckers. In that context, they set their sights on Bitcoin and started receiving donations through Tallycoin, a fundraising platform built on the Bitcoin blockchain. 19. Truckers need the money that was donated to them. The individual people who made the donations, in many cases, hard earned to support the truckers deserve to have their money go where they want it to go, not where GoFundMe decides. Rumors of war. The U.S. Army continues to conduct joint drills and exercises in different parts of the world. Second, NATO flexes its muscles with maneuvers in the Mediterranean. The hustle and bustle of troops in Europe has become continuous. The Ionian Sea between the coasts of Italy and Greece has been the scene for a week of large-scale NATO military maneuvers. The exercises were led by the nuclear aircraft carrier USS Harry Truman, and involved Italian, Greek, German, and Spanish military personnel. Third, Germany unveils new troop deployment. Berlin will send additional forces to Lithuania as the NATO build-up near the Russian border continues. 4. Tucker Carlson destroys State Department's attempt to launch a war with Russia, says Alex Jones is far more credible. Ridicules government's claim that Russia stages a false flag since they continually smeared Alex Jones as a conspiracy theorist for pointing out false flags. 5. Cyber attacks hit German oil companies, European oil port terminals. 6. Russia will not allow Ukraine to try to regain Crimea for military means. Europe could be involved in a war without victors if Ukraine joins NATO and then tries to regain Crimea by military means, warned Russian President Vladimir Putin. 7. Russia reveals who it believes it's behind Ukraine invasion. The US and Britain want a confrontation with Russia, the Foreign Office has claimed. The US and British government have spread reports of a possible Russian invasion of Ukraine to declare victory after the humiliation of Afghanistan and divert attention from their domestic problems, Moscow said. 8. UK military warns of attack from space. The UK Ministry of Defence has unveiled its space defence policy, which presents the ominous prospect of an exo-atmospheric nuclear attack. However, the text offers few real ideas for dealing with such a scenario. The UK's Defence Space Strategy, published Tuesday, describes space as a possible future battlefield, fraught with threats ranging from cyber attacks and blinding anti-satellite lasers to an exo-atmospheric attack. 9. Myanmar is under military control and has an arrest warrant for Soros. 10th, Indian border is bringing in military force and ammunition and preparing for China. 11. The UK is moving major military assets to the eastern borders. 12. Malaysia continues to strengthen militarily. 13th, in southern Europe, Serbia's talks and military moves to reclaim the Kingdom of Yugoslavia are coming to the forefront. 14. The US Army continues to conduct joint drills and exercises in different parts of the world. 15. China has military warships in almost every port in the world. 16. US right-sizing Venezuelan oil. Shipments could be sized to recover unpaid debt incurred under crippling sanctions. Economy. US pledges help to Europe in case of emergency supply disruption. The US pledges to do everything possible to help Europe deal with eventual disruptions in energy distribution, Secretary of State Antony Blinken said. Second, Russia supplied Europe with 59.2 billion cubic meters of gas. Russian gas deliveries through the Nord Stream pipeline in 2021 again reached the previous year's record. Third, cancellation of Nord Stream 2 would hurt Germany. Cancellation of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline would only cost Russia money, but would hurt Germany as liquefied natural gas cannot make up the shortfall. 4. Analysts believe that NATO is looking to Spain to reduce its dependence on Russian gas. NATO is encouraging the European Union to reduce its energy dependence on Russia, but the latter is unlikely and the alternatives are insufficient, experts warn. 5. Spain, a strategic player in the liquefied gas network in the face of the Ukrainian crisis. Between an energy crisis and the fear of seeing its gas supplies cut off by Russia, Due to its growing tensions with the West, Spain has a privileged role in the European gas market. 6. World food prices hit record highs. The World Food Cost Index rose 1.1% last month. 7. Oil prices near $100 a barrel. Major crude oil benchmark hit their highest levels in 7 years amid supply concerns. 8. All countries are pushing to implement digital currency through their own central banks to compete with cryptocurrencies. 9. Investor Jim Rogers says young people will pay off the debt. Despite official figure of $30 trillion, the real US debt may be several times higher. Controversial news. First, Credit Suisse faces charges in cocaine trafficking trial. The drug money laundering case centers on the bank's ties to a criminal network. Second, art-related money laundering. Treasury Department says fast-growing token market could facilitate illicit art trade. Third, this is how money was landed for Russian oligarchs. The Guardian, a British newspaper, published a confidential internal report that Deutsche Bank was implicated in a massive money laundering scheme, acknowledging that the scandal had damaged its global brand and allegedly caused customer erosion and a drop in market value. The scheme used by Russian criminals involved moving money into the Western financial system between 2010 and 2014. According to the report, the cash involved could amount to $80 billion. 4. Nancy Pelosi spent nearly $500,000 on private jets despite her green stance. Nancy Pelosi's campaign spent almost $500,000 between the months of October 2020 and December 2021 on private jets, despite calling climate change the existential threat of our time, while leading a congressional delegation of the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Glasgow, Scotland. 5. Argentina to join China's Belt and Road Initiative. Argentina will join China's Belt and Road Trade Initiative and receive $23.7 billion in funding for various projects from Beijing. Financial reset. First, the current financial system is in its final stretch as it begins to fail and proves that it is no longer a viable system for the global economy. Second, GISRA and the quantum financial system are the two key factors to generate the new paradigm. Third, GISRA is the initiative to achieve monumental governmental changes all over the world. Fourth, the quantum financial system is the next evolution of the world economy. 5. World Harmony Day on February 20th. Sunflower is the driving force behind the commemoration of Harmony Day. The focus of the day is to encourage peace, love, harmony, and a 2-minute silence for world peace. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.